Rarely has mankind hesitated.
It is time. Nick Solo Variety Alien Time Show. Nick Solo Variety Alien Time Show. Nick Solo Variety Alien Time Show. Nick Solo Variety Alien Time Show.
Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, government agents, whatever else we say, and anyone who might be listening. My name is Alex Tasker, and no, it's not. My name is Nick. All right, so you might be noticing, all right, that Tasker's nowhere to be heard on today's episode, and that is because our many talks about cannibalism on this show brought me to a breaking point, and he is currently being slow roasted in my oven right now. Okay. No, actually, the truth is that I'm still in Hawaii, and between Tasker and I's schooling and my shenanigans here on the island, we didn't have time to do a full episode this week. However, what I figured we could do is, we'll shoot the shit, let's chit chat, I'll have a nice sensual personal episode today with yours truly. What I figured we could do also was, I'll give you an update on my island experience and talk about some cryptid current events. And if you're a good listener and you listen to Daddy, okay, even I didn't like that, but if you listen to me, I might just read a fanfic, maybe. So without further delay, all right, I want you guys to take a machete, go shake a palm tree, cut open some coconuts, drink out of them, get invaded by a bunch of old white people, and then get a metric fuck ton of sand in your crotch, because we on the island and we're diving right in. Now, I know normally on these solo episodes, we don't do horoscopes, right? But I kind of want to do horoscopes. I'm living island style right now. I'm having a groovy time. I haven't checked my horoscope since our last episode. So I wanted to see what's going on in my life according to the stars. All right. People may be trying to subtly communicate to you, but you may not be aware of this because you're so caught up in your own difficulties, Cancer. You may feel like you're driving with the emergency brake on. You're so preoccupied with running smoothly that you're unaware of other cars on the road. Stop, release the brake, and drive. I can relate to this right now. I can relate to this. And the reason behind that is because I'm on vacation, right? I'm hanging out on Hawaii, and I'm still doing schoolwork. Now, granted, I'm caught up on schoolwork and I'm ahead of the game, but I have this need in the back of my head to be completely caught up. Maybe I should just pump the brakes, turn off my emergency brake, as this horoscope is putting it, and just chill. Maybe I should just chill, right? Isn't that what you're supposed to do when you're on vacation? I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to take this into account. And now I know Tasker's not here, but my friendship is saying Scorpio. So, buddy, when you're listening to this editing, hey, you're all right in my book, okay? Now let's do stars. My sex is a 3 out of 5. Hustle is a 4 out of 5. Vibe is a 4 out of 5, and success is a 4 out of 5. Honestly, feeling good, and I should be feeling good because I'm hitting the beach after this recording. All right, so the stars are looking good. Got some good advice from my horoscope, so I do appreciate that, stars. Thank you. And Tasker, Scorpio, friendship forever. Also, just as a heads up on this episode, everybody, I am holding the mic again, because I'm not just gonna pack up my entire being and come to Hawaii, right? I don't have my mic stand, which means I don't have my pop filter to attach to my mic stand. So I'm holding a mic without a pop filter, like I'm doing stand-up comedy in some dive bar. So I apologize if there's the heavy P's and the pfs and stuff. There you go. There, you just got a taste of it. So I apologize about that, but you know what? Get over it. All right. So speaking of being on an island, I'm going to give you guys an update about how all that is going for me. All right. I've been visiting with family, having a good time with them, which is always good, right? Especially after, this thing we call COVID, or you guys call COVID, But, I had to record this while they were at the beach, right now. Currently, they're at the beach because I don't want my aunt and my cousins. They don't need to hear the things that I say on this podcast. They don't need to hear the truth, right? But you will be proud to know that I have already gotten food poisoning once, which is not a joke, and I'm very sunburnt, or I was at least a couple days ago. It's getting better, but I look like a lobster right now. And yes, I'm going back to the beach to exasperate. I'm not a linguist. All right. I don't know. What's next on my outline here? Let's see. Food poisoning. Now that was thought to be, the food poisoning was thought to be a product of some sketchy shrimp cocktail I had. Right now, look, people, shrimp is delicious, but even if it's cooked, it is always a gamble because they are called the cockroaches of the sea for a reason. Okay. So if you're going to eat shrimp, even if it's in a shrimp scampi, right? Super cooked once and then, heat it up again by the pasta, it's still sketchy. So you know what? Go into it knowing what you're getting into. Now, as far as the sunburn goes, that is because I got cocky because I was actually starting to get a little bit of color the first few days. So I was like, fuck it, right? I don't need sunscreen on the fourth day. And that was a big mistake. That was a no-no. And now I look like I said, a lobster, both in hue and in body shape somehow. So that's what I'm dealing with. But the good news is I have been plastered most of my trip, and I've almost gone through an entire handle of Dewar's Scotch at this point already, and there is just generally a lot of brown people here. So all in all, it's a good trip so far. So enough about me and my Hawaiian brethren. Let's get into some current events involving cryptids, shall we? Now, something whack is going on, as you will soon find out. Let's call this segment Nick's Cryptid Corner, right? Isn't that cute? Isn't that just like adorable? We'll call it Nick's Cryptid Corner. That's great. So this first one is interesting, and it's right up our alleys. So check this out. Here is a story I'm going to bring to you guys. The title of the article is Fourth Witness Reports July 22nd Winged Humanoid Sighting at O'Hare International Airport. And this article was posted 2 days ago as of this recording, September 3rd. Okay, so pretty fresh. In mid-August of this year, Manuel Navarrete of UFO Clearinghouse, this sounds like a commercial, of UFO Clearinghouse received a fourth report from someone claiming to have seen a winged humanoid, which elicited a security response at Chicago O'Hare International Airport on the night of July 22nd. Now, brief aside here, that is my birthday, July 22nd. Was it me drunk and flapping about in Chicago? I don't know. To be honest with you, it could have been. The first report was reported to UFO Clearinghouse in early August by 3 witnesses who claimed to have seen a security detachment respond to a winged humanoid sighting at O'Hare's United Cargo facility. That report was followed several days later by 2 corroborative reports initially received by Phantoms and Monsters and our buddies over at MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. So even MUFON's getting involved in whatever the hell this is. According to the most recent report, and this is from the report, quote, I was coming up the road toward the exit after leaving work. As I approached the curve by United Cargo, I noticed about 8 security vehicles that had gathered around. As I approached, I saw something fly over the fence and head toward the runways. It looked like a giant man with large wings, but I only saw it for a second or two before it was gone. I actually got out of my car and tried to take a picture before it flew out of range of my camera. But within a second or two of me getting out of the car, I had somebody yelling at me to get back in my car and get the heck out of there. Get the heck out of there. I did as I was told because I'm a submissive bitch. Okay, that wasn't in there. And left. And as I was driving out, more security vehicles were showing up. I decided to report this when I saw that other people were coming toward about what happened that night. or forward. I can't read today, guys. Look, I'm hungover. All right. What do you want from me? And yes, today's mostly going to be reading. That's my bad. I lined that up for myself. Now I have to deal with it. So that's an interesting sighting, right? Seems like a lot of people were freaking out. Now, this dude only saw it for a split second, but other people were seeing assumedly more of it and were telling him the GTFO, right? Which is never a good sign. If you're at an airport and a bunch of people, including security, are telling you, hey, don't come over here, I would book it that way. It's either a terrorist or it's a cryptid. Either way, it's not good news, okay? The article goes on to say, that was the end of the quote, by the way. So the article says, Navarrete said that he was able to contact the witness and speak with him over the phone about events of that night. Quote, the witness works at Delta Cargo as a forklift operator and was just getting off his shift when he came upon the scene unfolding at United Cargo. Navarrete said he told of having his own brief sighting of the winged humanoid and had heard multiple stories from other coworkers and other O'Hare employees about the sightings of the O'Hare Mothman. That's what they're calling it, it looks like. I mean, I didn't want to spoil it too early, but it seems like that's kind of what we're dealing with here. You'll see, as this is definitely not the only one, like I talked about, and it does kind of sound like Mothman. The witness said that after his own brief encounter, he began to keep his cell phone handy just in case he had another sighting and could try to take a picture of the entity, unquote. The day that we get a clear picture of Mothman is the day that I will quit everything I'm doing and just become a full-on cryptozoologist. The man told Navarrete, I don't know, guys. It's a weird name, okay? The man told Navarrete that he first saw the security vehicle's lights as he approached before seeing the winged humanoid fly over the fence toward the runways. He reportedly stopped his car approximately 20 feet from where the road in that area curves and left his vehicle in an attempt to photograph the creature, but it was, quote, immediately told in a forceful manner to get in his, or was it in his car and leave the area, unquote. Again, so he was told by a bunch of people, hey man, don't. This thing is going to turn you into a fleshlight. Quote, the witness said the uninformed officer told him to leave in such an aggressive manner that he was immediately intimidated and felt compelled to stop everything he was doing, get in his car, and leave the area post haste, unquote. Post haste. What is this, the 1800s? Good God. Quote, the witness did state that there were 8 to 10 security vehicles already on scene and that more were turning the corner and headed to the area as he left and turned onto West Cargo Road, headed toward the highway, unquote. Now that makes sense, right? I am the first one to blow something like this out of proportion, but it must be said that yes, 8 to 10 security vehicles is a lot in response to something that is an unknown entity, especially like a winged humanoid. So it kind of makes it a big deal. It's like, yo, damn, is that Mothman? But you have to remember, this is at an airport, right? If there's any issues whatsoever at an airport, they will have a lot of security on it because it's, that tragedy of which we do not speak that happened, 20 years ago almost? Yeah, it's coming up. So Navarrete asked the man why he thought such a forceful response was given for this sighting by the airport security and the TSA, to which he responded, quote, anything unauthorized that enters the tarmac area is usually dealt with severely due to the proximity of active planes, unquote. So boom, that's basically what I just said. It's always going to be overactive, the security. That's just the way it is. I mean, you guys have been to the airport and you've gone through TSA. All right. Sometimes when I get through the security line, I need somebody to buy me dinner afterwards because they were so thorough. Right? And when Navarrete asked him about the reported sightings at O'Hare, the man replied, quote, everyone is well aware of these sightings and that many of them are swept under the rug, unquote. And he is not surprised that many of the witnesses were told that this was not a misidentified bird, while also being told not to speak about it to anyone. Damn. So it's kind of the same thing that happens with the government when they're talking about aliens, right? They're like, okay, somebody sees a really crazy UFO, let's say, something that definitely is not in our possession. And the G-men, the men in black, whoever comes, knocks on their doors like, yo, what you saw, that was a weather balloon. But also, if you tell anybody, I'll castrate you, right? That's kind of what's happening here too. They're saying, hey, it was a bird. But also, if you tell anybody, we'll kill you and your family. I think. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing, I'm putting words in their mouth, but I know that's what they're thinking, right? Navarrete said that, in his opinion, the sighting is valid and, quote, the witness showed no obvious signs of deception, and there is no reason to doubt the witness's report as a hoax or false, unquote. Information regarding the sighting has been shared with investigators from the Phantoms and Monsters Fortean research team for further study. Quote, this information is consistent with the reports I have regularly received from a confidential informant who happens to be a supervisor employed by one of the commercial carriers, unquote, said Lon Strickler of Phantoms and Monsters. O'Hare International Airport has been the epicenter of recent winged humanoid sightings in the Lake Michigan Mothman investigation, with over a dozen sighting reports coming from the airport itself since August of 2019, and many more reported in the surrounding communities. Reports from the larger investigation have come from every state bordering Lake Michigan and date back to 1957. Now, that's very interesting. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, is that this is not a standalone event. This is something that has been happening and has picked up in frequency recently in the last year and a half in the same area. So there's something whack going on over there for sure. Is it Mothman? I don't know. Is it a genetically modified human to have wings? I don't know. Is it a flying monkey from The Wizard of Oz? Probably not, but it could be, right? We don't know what it is, but something's going on over there. This report constitutes the latest news in a string of quote-unquote Mothman sightings from within a few 100-mile radius surrounding Lake Michigan, including every state bordering the Great Lake. These sightings, ostensibly, that's the first time I've ever had to read that word out loud, ostensibly began in the spring of 2017, but more historical accounts are being reported as more people become aware of the phenomenon. They generally take place in the evening or at night, often in or near a park or natural area and around water. Witnesses consistently describe a large gray, brown, or black bat or bird-like creature, although in a small number of cases, the creature was described as insect-like, sometimes with glowing or reflective red, yellow, green, or orange eyes. The humanoid features such as humanoid features such as arms and legs are often reported. So, okay, if arms and legs aren't reported, what's reported? What is it, just like a floating body with wings? It seems weird. Some witnesses have reported feeling intense fear and an aura of evil emanating from the creature they encountered. Many of the sightings are also of something seen only briefly or are described only as a flying creature with few details, which leaves open the possibility that a misidentified large bird, which we talked about last week, right, is as a thunderbird. Who knows? A large bird such as a heron or a crane, or some type of anomalous avian species could explain some, although certainly not all of the encounters. And that's the problem, guys, that we have with this type of stuff, is there are some things that can definitely be explained away, but nothing can be explained away 100% by the same thing. So I don't know. A number of associated high strangeness incidents have also occurred alongside the creature sightings. These include reports of UFOs, other anomalous flying creatures and mysterious humanoids, parapsychological phenomenon, and bizarre events experienced by those investigating the sightings. And then it says, to report a sighting, reach out to us directly, blah, blah, blah. So that's the story. That's the first story I wanted to cover with you guys, right? Something is going on around O'Hare Airport and around that general area in the Midwest, all right? And no, it's not just the high murder rate of Chicago. There's other things now happening there. should we be more worried about Mothman than, shootings? I don't know. I don't live in Chicago, thank God. Now, something interesting that they said here at the end was the fact that these, high strangeness incidents have occurred alongside these creature sightings. And as we know, usually when we have some cryptids being sighted or when we have UFOs being sighted, other phenomena, it comes with them. Correlation doesn't equal causation, but my God, there's a high correlation coefficient between some of these things. Of course, UFOs, it's on this list. We expect to see UFOs when we hear things about Mothman, right? We learned a little bit about that in our Men in Black series. Eventually, we will be doing a full-on Mothman series in which we'll learn more about it. But generally, when we see Mothman, UFOs are spotted in the area, okay? But one that caught my eye was the parapsychological phenomena that is associated with these sightings. And for those who don't know, parapsychology is the study of, first off, it's a pseudoscience, right? It's not an actual, you can't go to school and get a fucking degree in parapsychology, but it is an amateur study of, things like, so I don't have the definition up in front of me right now, but I was very interested in parapsychology when I was younger. So let me see if I could remember. So it's basically like an amateur investigation or study of, what would you call this? I would say psychic phenomena, where people who experience telepathy, psychokinesis, telekinesis, that kind of stuff. I believe that is what parapsychology is. It's very interesting stuff. So if they're saying that people are experiencing parapsychological phenomena while or around the sightings of these winged creatures, that's interesting too, because then it lends an idea that these creatures are not physical cryptids, but they could be something psychic. They could be something inter or extra dimensional, right? Something that taps into our consciousness on a level that we as dumb monkey humans aren't able to comprehend. That could just be, I'm just throwing theories out there, just throwing them out there, but that could be an idea. So that's something that I wanted to talk to you guys about. That first story was very interesting because I'm telling you guys, something's going on over there that, like we know from the story, this is not the first time this has happened in this area. It's been happening for years, and it's been ramping up in the last year and a half. And not only are winged cryptids, like winged humanoids, being spotted at O'Hare and around the Midwest in this area, but more articles that I saw are saying that in the last few months, even along the same timeline as these guys, they're being spotted in other parts of Wisconsin and in Missouri as well. Missouri. Okay, so there's a lot going on with winged cryptids around the world. I'm not sure what it means. Should we be scared? No. Should we embrace it? Yes. Let's figure out what it is. Let's find a way to exploit them and make them slaves, just like we do with every new race we encounter. Okay. All right. So there is another cryptid update from recent times that I'd like to talk to you guys about, discussing a water-based cryptid, which, as some of you might know, are one of my favorites. All right. I love the idea of unidentified water beings, water cryptids in either oceans, lakes, whatever. I dig it. And the reason I dig it, I think, is because of the fact that, like we always talk about, and we always use this as a crutch, but it's true. So much of our oceans and our seas are not, explored. And so I feel like the possibility, and they can easily hide. So the possibility of these guys existing is higher. And I think that's the reason I like it, because there's more potential. There could be more truth behind it, right? So the article title is "Large Marine Life That Caused Beach Closure in England Remains Unidentified." Very ominous. The Royal National Lifeboat Institution, which is, why would you name it that? The Royal National Lifeboat Institution has confirmed that Boscombe Beach in, oh my God, these names. All right. As soon as we start getting out of the States, you guys know I have problems with like pronouncing stuff. I'm going to try. So I know we have listeners in England. I apologize if this is not how you pronounce it. Boscombe Beach in Bournemouth. Is it mouth or myth? I think I'm going to say myth, right? Because like Dartmouth, but it's spelled mouth, I think. Okay. Bournemouth, England, was temporarily closed on August 4th following sightings of unidentified, quote-unquote, large marine life. Lifeguards closed the beach for 30 minutes while conducting a search for the creatures, but reopened it after finding no signs of any unusual animal. Quote, there were sightings of large marine life at Boscombe Beach. Quote, a spokesperson for the RNLA or RNLI said at the time of the sightings. Quote, the situation is being closely monitored by RNLI lifeguards who are asking visitors to stay away from the water and have put up red flags, unquote. Red flags would not hold me back. All right, if I was in this Bournemouth, England at Boscombe Beach, and they put up red flags because of an unidentified water creature, I would probably, I think it would be my cryptozoological duty to dive in and try to find it myself. Okay, so red flag, complete opposite for me. I'm like a bull, all right? The charity later added, quote, RNLI lifeguards flagged the beach for a short period of time to investigate reports received of unidentified marine life. We still have no confirmation of what the creature was, and everyone going into the sea should enjoy it, but as always, respect the water and exercise an appropriate level of caution, including keeping around 200 meters from marine life for your and their safety. Now, you guys might not believe this, okay? But there are two things that are not true about me. One, I am not a mathematician. And two, I am not European or anywhere else in the world but America. So to be fair, I don't know how far 200 meters is. I am looking it up right now. That's why I'm stalling. Okay. Let's say 200 meters in feet, 656 feet. So you're telling me when I go snorkeling after this, okay, because I am going to, when I go snorkeling after this and I see a fish like the Hawaiian state fish, humu humu nuku nuku apua'a, right? That's what the state fish is called. And I see him swimming around. I have to stay 660 feet away from it. Yeah, right. That's asking a little much. All right, RNLI. Anyway, one witness who was at the beach said that day told the Daily Echo, quote, there were some splashes in the water and the lifeguard said that they hadn't seen anything like it in 35 years. It was said over the Tannoy. Tannoy? What the hell is that? It's capitalized too. If any of you know what it is, Tannoy. I don't know. That there was sea life in the water, so everyone was called out and the lifeguards went up and down on a jet ski. Half an hour to an hour later, everyone was still out of the water when they put the red and yellow flags up and said that you could go back in the water, but you might be called out at any time. Interesting. You know what? Instead of putting red and yellow flags out, why don't they just get orange flags, right? I feel like that's the emotion they were going for. But they don't have the funds for orange flags to be like, hey, kind of stay cautious, you know? The RNLI was ultimately unable to identify the creature, but fisherman Darren Tapper said it was a, quote, monster shark, unquote, that pulled the fishing rod out of his hands that day. It had eyes, dark eyes like a doll's eyes. The 54-year-old was fishing from his kayak when something large went for his lure. Quote, I was pulling a lure back into shore and something grabbed that. I almost turned over in my kayak. He said in an interview with The Sun, I spun around and saw a big shadow. And let me try that again. Quote, I spun around and saw a big shadow. It had eyes like a doll's eyes. Unquote. Tapper returned to Boscombe Beach to alert the lifeguards, but by the time he arrived, they had already received 2 other reports from bathers. Okay. I am hungover. It's bathers, I believe, of what was suspected to be a shark in the water. Although all the fishermen saw was a large shadow under the surface, he believes it may have been a shark due to the strength of its bite. "I know what fish are. It was something big," he said. "As a fisherman, I've never heard of a shark in these waters, so that was the thing on my mind. It is very possible that it was a shark, but I'm speculating that now I don't know what else would have had the power. If you saw how it took my rod and reel, I didn't stand a chance. God knows that would have happened. I looked like a seal in my wetsuit. In 13 years, I have never ever experienced that. It's a bit of a thrill to think I escaped the clutches. The clutches. It had eyes like a doll's eyes." Experts, however, remain unsure what the creature might have been. Quote, "The sea is a big place, so anything can turn up. What's more likely is a basking shark, but that would be on the surface," Peter Tinsley, marine policy and evidence manager at the Dorset Wildlife Trust, said in a statement to the Daily Echo. "Thresher sharks are known in this area, chasing mackerel on the surface, so that's a possibility. However, a shark probably would not take a lure, so it could be a bluefin tuna, release a large sunfish, really a large sunfish is possible. They have an enormous fin and can be found on the surface," unquote. Now, look, guys, also, I've never taken any like marine biology courses. I've never watched any documentaries on like shark behavior. And I know that, science doesn't always agree with common sense, but to me, personally, I believe it's common sense that a shark would go for a lure if there was something on the lure that the shark wants, like a piece of meat. I don't know. That's just me. All right. So let's not count them out too much. It could be like a megalodon or something. Sarah Hodgson, a coastal. Dude, I've never been able to pronounce that name. Hodgson, right? Hodgson. Hodgson. A coastal center's assistant at the Wildlife Trust said that, quote, "The sharks that we get in British waters aren't considered to be dangerous or aggressive to humans," unquote, and added, quote, "Sharks are regularly encountered by divers and anglers, and some species can be found swimming close to the shore, including smooth hounds and even basking sharks," unquote. Without more evidence, one can only speculate on the mysterious creature's identity. But Ali Hood, the director of conservation at the Shark Trust, had this to say, quote, "UK waters are home to a fascinating diversity of large marine life, dolphins, small whales, bluefin tuna, and a variety of sharks. This sighting could be one of many existing species," unquote. That's the story. Now, here is my take on this, okay? Yes, according to Ali Hood, it could be one of those species. But here's the thing. What makes this fantastical and cryptozoological is the size, the sheer size, and the fact that the lifeguards said that they hadn't seen anything like that in like 35 years, which makes me wonder, what did they see 35 years ago? But that's beside the point. It's big. Even if it's a bluefin tuna, if it's big enough to cause that much alarm, that's a big ass tuna, all right, and that's worth studying. That's definitely fantastical. But the other thing is, it could be a giant shark. Again, that's kind of a big deal. What if it's like getting close? I don't know. What if it's like megalodon size? I don't know. And then the other option is that it's something that we've just never seen before. That could also be an option. That's the option I'm hoping for. I'm hoping it's some kind of weird leftover prehistoric reptile, kind of like the Loch Ness Monster, but something different, not a plesiosaur. I don't know. I'm hoping it's something that we've never heard of before. I'm hoping it shows its face again. I'm hoping a couple people at the beach get chomped on. That way we have some evidence, unfortunately. But sometimes you got to crack some eggs to make an omelet. I've always said that because I've been a chef for most of my life. Now, of course, everybody, it would not be Nick's Cryptid Corner trademarked without a current event or our on our boy Bigfoot, right? So check out this one from July earlier this year. All right, so the title of this article about Bigfoot is Nursing Student Reports Bigfoot Sighting Outside of Gym in Ashland, Ohio. According to a recent report from the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, or BFRO, a 20-year-old woman in Ashland, Ohio saw a 7-foot-tall creature after leaving the Warehouse 24 gym on the outskirts of town last April. Wait, I was lied to. No, it was April. I don't know why they put last in there. It was April of this year, April 24th. 2021. The report was initially submitted by the woman's stepfather, who said, quote, "My 20-year-old stepdaughter had a visual sighting last night in Ashland, Ohio. The date was April 24th, 2021. It was about midnight, and she had left a 24-hour gym that has woods behind it. She saw a gray, over 7-foot creature after hearing a twig snap. She stated it was too large to be human, and it moved way too fast to be human," unquote. Interesting. The young woman then called her parents in tears from the local Bob Evans restaurant parking lot and asked for them to drive her home because she was, quote, "so shook up," unquote. She was shook. Quote, "It was a terrifying experience for her," unquote, he said. Quote, "I went and inspected the area briefly the next day. I found many old deer tracks, but no imprints of the creature she saw. I'm not a hunter or a tracker and only spent about 10 minutes in the area," unquote. I'm not a hunter or a tracker either, but something tells me that 10 minutes in an area is not enough to find something you're looking for. That's just me, man. You should put more effort into it, all right? What would the Native Americans do? They put their ear to the ground. Hey, that kind of shit. Quote, "She is one person I would consider an extremely reliable witness. She's a very responsible college student that is very moral and truthful. She does not drink or take drugs," unquote, added the man. BFRO investigator Matthew Moneymaker. That is a name. Moneymaker. That's sick. Said that within a week of the sighting, he was able to speak with the father and later the witness herself, adding that, quote, "They are both credible. This is not a hoax report," unquote. Prior to calling the woman's stepfather, said Moneymaker, he had figured out the location and examined aerial photos of the surrounding landscape on Google Maps and Bing Maps. Who uses Bing Maps? Oh my goodness. Okay, so here is the report from, I believe, the stepfather. "There are open fields nearby and a large swamp 100 yards or so north of the patch of woods, but also some businesses nearby, including a Motel 6. That made me somewhat doubtful at first, but this is the very edge of town, not in the middle. The relative lack of contiguous tree cover." I feel like this whole episode is just me sounding out words I've never said out loud before. Everybody's at home laughing at Nick because he sounds like he's still hooked on phonics. I'm trying, okay? Compared to most sighting areas, also made me doubtful before I spoke with the witness and her father. I spoke with the father. Oh, no. So this report is from Moneymaker. He mentioned that there were lots of deer tracks and exposed patches of ground around the parcel of woods when he went to investigate the site the day after his daughter's sighting. Deer tracks are likely still visible around there. I spoke with the daughter later in the day today. She is very credible. She's a nursing student at the nearby university and works as a waitress in town. Nothing about her story seemed unusual except for the location. She was certain the gray-furred Sasquatch stood at least 7 feet tall, possibly 8 feet tall, based on its height. She was certain that it was not some other type of animal nor a person in costume. The way it bolted off when it fled is what frightened her the most. It was very fast, like Usain Bolt. That doesn't say that. As she walked out of the gym around midnight and turned to her right in the direction of her vehicle, she was walking in the direction of the tree line. She heard the crack of a twig breaking. and looked up in time to see the creature turning to run back into the woods about 30 yards away from her, illuminated by the lighting for the brand new parking lot. It ran back into the woods at an angle to the right and was quickly obscured from her view by the corner of the gym building. She only saw a side view of it as it ran off with large arms swinging. She said she most likely would not have noticed it at all, but for the noise of the twig snapping, which she assumed was caused by a creature standing on wood debris. This is some clunky dialogue. All right, I feel like I know it sounds like I am retarded, but I think this person writes like George Lucas writes. Okay, it's tough. It's, it gets everywhere. It's irritating. It's like sand. You know what I mean? It's clunky dialogue. Can't stand it. So if I sound like I'm stumbling over this story, that's because, and it's not necessarily the person who wrote this article, which by the way is named, it's a couple, Tobias and Emily Wayland. Tobias. It's that quote from the investigator Moneymaker. Just because you have a cool name doesn't mean you can write something, I guess. No offense, Moneymaker, but hey, man. Anyway, so I'm not going to read the rest of this. It's a long story, but there have been a lot of Bigfoot sightings as well being reported, especially on this website, which is called singularfortean.com. If you want to check out more of these really cool articles, there's a lot going on. There's a cryptid shit, a lot of winged cryptids. There's a lot of Bigfoot sightings. Something's going on. I'm not sure if it's like a shift in our realities or whatever, but I'm not sure. It needs more investigating, right? We're compiling the stories. Now we need to figure out how to analyze that data, how to categorize it. All right, so we're about 40 minutes in. Okay, I don't want this to be much longer. You guys don't want this to be much longer. I want to get to the beach, but I think that all of you have been good boys and girls, right? You listen to Daddy. Ugh, I still don't like it. But you listen to me. So I am going to read a fanfic for you. And just so you know, I chose this one based solely off of the title and the fact that people consider it to be one of the worst things ever written, which I'll be the judge of, okay? As far as fanfics go. So that being said, if you're in public or if there is a child present, make sure to turn up the volume because this is going to be good. Okay, everybody. So I'm going to read this fanfic for you. Now, here's the thing. I don't know a lot about Gravity Falls. I know it's a cartoon that either artists or autists or both watch. Okay, but usually all adults. Tasker, you're probably aware of this show and you probably watched it. On the next episode, let us know if I'm right, but I'm just guessing. My guess is about Gravity Falls. Me, I don't know anything about it. I don't know the characters. I've seen pictures of them. I don't know how to pronounce some of these names. Or I think one of them, Seuss, I don't know. But with that being said, this fanfic is called Dipper Goes to Taco Bell. It was a normal day in Gravity Falls, Oregon. Well, as normal as Gravity Falls gets anyways. Dipper Pines was reading his book and Mabel, his twin sister, was wondering what he was doing. Dipper, are you going to keep your nose buried in that strange book of yours all summer? You got to get out. Have an adventure, Mabel exclaimed. Not now, Dipper said quietly. I'm trying to decode this. He was looking at a cryptogram that said XSLFA. QBE QXZLYBII. Dipper was officially stumped. He could not figure out what it meant, and it seemed very mysterious to him. Grunkle Stan is going to take us to the diner for lunch, Dipper, Mabel exclaims. Dipper, however, was not in the mood for the diner. Diner? He was publicly humiliated the last time he went, and he thought the food wasn't very good anyway. Mabel, I don't want to go to the diner, Dipper said solemnly. I want to go somewhere else. But there is really nothing else in town unless you count the Taco Bell near the forest, Mabel replied. Taco Bell? Dipper's ears perked up. He had never eaten at Taco Bell before, and ever since last week, he had a craving for Mexican food for some reason. Why don't we go to Taco Bell today? Dipper asked. Taco Bell? Grunkle Stan questioned. Why'd you want to go there? It smells like the bathroom when it gets clogged. I had my heart set on pancakes, Mabel moaned. I had my heart set on pancakes. Listen, you can go to Taco Bell if you want, but don't come crying to me when you smell like expired onions. Fine, I will, Dipper said harshly. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Grunkle Stan said. But as he was exiting the mystery shack, the door hit him on the way out. Ah, ha, 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 said Grunkle Stan. He was laughing. Yeah, thanks for that narration. Yeah, I'm sure. So anyways, Mabel and Grunkle Stan went to the diner while Dipper tried to find the Taco Bell. He had brought with him his book and a couple bucks, but finding the Taco Bell was harder than he had previously thought. He had been looking around town for what seemed like days. The mystery book was not helping him either, until he saw a flicker of a sign in the forest. He went into the forest. Why would there be a Taco Bell in the forest? Dipper asked himself. After hiking for about an hour, Dipper finally got to the Taco Bell, but it sure didn't look like any Taco Bell he'd ever seen. It was surrounded by a barrage of giant oak trees and an open field, completely different from the rugged terrain of the Oregon forest. The open field was covered with at least 3 layers of pine needles, which got the attention of Dipper. He stuck his hand into the pine needles. Ow! Dipper shouted. A pine needle poked him. It hurts. The restaurant, Taco Bell, looked like a silo, sort of. Well, it was very cylindrical. The outside had rusty picnic tables and looked like no one used them at all. Dipper walked up to the restaurant's door. Should I go in there? Dipper asked himself. I'm starting to have second thoughts. Why is there a small, desolate Taco Bell in this forest, miles from the nearest road? But I guess it's my only option. Mabel and Grunkle Stan are probably done with lunch right now. And they were. Mabel wondered why Dipper hadn't come back yet, but Grunkle Stan didn't give a damn. So Dipper entered the restaurant, but he was relieved to see that the interior was normal, except for its high ceiling. There were also no customers inside, but Dipper thought that was normal, considering how the franchise was so isolated. He went up to the counter. There was only one cashier working the registers, a very old, slightly deaf, bored out of his skull cashier. Dipper decided what he wanted to order, then approached the register. Excuse me, we only got tacos, the cashier interrupted. Okay, I guess I'll have a taco then, Dipper said. What did you say? The cashier yelled. I said I want a taco, Dipper yelled back. Okay then, the cashier said, and then went to the back for a few minutes. When he came out, he was carrying Dipper's taco. That's $1. That's not me putting an accent. It says DOLLA. That's $1, the cashier said. Dipper gave him the money and went to sit down at the least grimiest table. He bit into the hot, spicy, juicy taco filled with thick, pure meat, mild, tantalizing black beans, and sour, fluffy sour cream. He enjoyed the single bite of that perfectly cooked taco and still tasted it in his mouth after he swallowed it. But as he was about to bite into the second time, he felt a churning movement inside his body, something that he had felt often. Uh-oh, Dipper said, then rushed to find the lavatory. Man, that really went through me, Dipper said to himself. For some reason, the bathrooms were hidden in the corner, far from the counter, and far from the table he was sitting at. When he walked in, he found that the bathrooms were surprisingly clean, for a fast food restaurant anyway. And Dipper found this suspicious. All of the stalls were full, and no one was using the urinals. But right on cue, someone walked out of one of the stalls. Dipper didn't pay much attention to who was walking out, but he was wearing all black and had a plastic bag with him. Dipper just had to go. Unfortunately, he didn't make it in time. He checked his pants and found the worst of all. Diarrhea, Dipper said. Ugh. He was about to leave the stall when he noticed a bulge in his pants. He touched the bulge, and once he touched it, he knew exactly what it was. It was an erection. He found himself completely aroused after touching it and started to do it some more. Eventually, he was ready to hardcore masturbate. He didn't know what was arousing him, but he knew he was aroused. He took off his blue shorts and his soiled underwear and revealing his medium-sized but not small penis. Okay. The tip was bright and red, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Dipper started to yank his Johnson harder and faster. The 5-incher was getting pumped. Dipper's soiled hands started to feel bits of pre-cum on his dry fingers. Eventually, the medium-sized dick could not take it anymore and burst an explosion of cum. The cum got all over the walls and toilet, and Dipper felt proud that he had creamed himself for the first time, but he was upset that it was not over windy. What? No, Dipper thought. All this is not enough for me. I need to release all of this. Oh boy. Oh geez. With his erection still active, Dipper began yanking his penis again. It was much quicker, and Dipper cummed quicker. This is disgusting. It was a bigger release than last time, and began to rain Dipper's seed. Dude, this is long. Dipper felt more proud than last time. His heart was about to burst from all the droplets of cum falling down from the ceiling. He felt as happy as he felt on the day of the first snowfall of the year. He stuck out his tongue to taste the cum, shiny from the faulty fluorescent light in the bathroom. He tasted it, and he thought it was one of the best tasting things in the world, better than the largest chocolate bar, better than the rarest pig, and better than the taco he was having earlier. By now, he couldn't stop. He couldn't leave now and miss out on this great masturbation adventure. He wanted to taste the cum. He scraped a handful of it off the stall and put it in his dirty, wet mouth. He grabbed another and another and another, and he was getting more aroused by consuming the cum, and he released another load. So that's where it's all coming from. Dipper said to himself, cum all over his face and teeth. Dipper came up with a solution to get a more hardcore a asterisk. There's 4 asterisks. A more hardcore something masturbation experience. He was going to put it into action. He tilted his head down and sat down on the cum-covered ground, grabbed his hardened Johnson and stuck it in his mouth. Once it was firmly in, Dipper began to suck on it on the very hard rod. He sucked it like the lollipop that he got at the county fair a while back. It tastes a lot like it too. Okay, the legs were so expertly over his shoulder that he could have been a gymnast. The more he sucked on his hard dick, the more his aroused legs shook. Eventually, when he was going to give out, he came in his mouth. It was the best thing he ever experienced, and kept on performing fellatio on himself. As he was stimulating himself orally, he accidentally fell over to his side. He broke from his penis and cummed on the floor. The floor was covered in so much of Dipper's cum that he started to make a snow angel in the cum, or a cum angel. He was eating some in the process. But then he looked to his side and immediately became so hard that the red tip was touching the short pubic hair. He saw what it was causing it. He saw his underwear covered in dark brown feces. Oh, here we go. The Germans just joined the chat. He held up his underwear, which was covered in the cum-filled floor, and marveled at its erotic beauty. The feces were so beautifully ejaculated, so smooth and sticky brown, as so perfect they felt at Dipper's white hands. He wanted his shit. Okay. Good. Okay, he held the brown underwear like a fish on a lure and put his sticky white lips into the sticky brown feces. His tongue was rubbing the crap all over his tidy whiteys, making his mouth all brownish, a brownish white mess. He was biting into the shit and sucked it into his mouth. It was more stimulating than ever. He now knew that he didn't need Wendy or Mabel or any of the girls in Gravity Falls. All he needed was a big pile of his shit. My mother's upstairs. He took a scoop of the feces. He had a lot of diarrhea and began to spread it over his dick. Every time he spread the crap, he was getting more and more roused. Once his dick was completely brown, he came again and filled up all the spots in the stall that weren't covered in Dipper's cum. Once again, Dipper took big scoots of cum and consumed in large gulps. Okay. Okay, let's just keep going, I guess. Now, Dipper had to put the brown sticky feces all over his penis again, and the boy, did he do a good job. The brown stuff was all over his external genitals and his testicles. He had come a few times here and there. What is this? Who wrote this? Oh my God. Now his beautiful brown genitals needed to be cleaned, but Dipper didn't have any cleaning supplies, so he had to suck the shit off. He brung his erection up to his mouth and began to suck. This time he made it very clear to lick the feces off with his tongue, and as soon as the tongue touched his dick, he cummed. Okay, I'm going to skip forward a little bit. This just goes on for a while. He wanted more of his Johnson, but that would be a fatal mistake. Once it was covered again, he put it in his mouth and began sucking, but it was too hard. And he was sucking and coming, and he accidentally bit on his dick. Okay, as soon as he tasted the blood, he broke out of coitus and saw his lacerated penis. He saw a mix of blood and cum coming out like a lava, and his erectile muscle pointing out. Dipper grabbed it and grimaced in pain. He winced at it and looked horrified. He snapped out of it all and tried to figure out a solution to the castration. He put some more diarrhea and cum on it, but it didn't stop the bleeding. Okay. I would love to continue to read this, but I got family upstairs. My mom's upstairs, and this is it's long. This is rough. So what I think we could do is maybe on this is so gross. Maybe on because we're only about halfway done, and I skipped a little bit too. So maybe on the next, whenever I do another Nick Solo Variety Alien Time show, I will read the second half of this fanfic for you guys. It is almost a work of art. Almost a work of art. One of the few times that a piece of fanfic brings something to the table. You know what I mean? All right. But with that being said, short episode, of course, guys. It's a solo episode. I hope you enjoyed the update about my trip, you know, the current events with cryptids. And I hope that you and your children were gathering around the radio listening to that beautiful fanfic that I just read, that half of it. I will finish it on the next one. But with that being said, you know, even though I'm in Maui, I'm not safe from Count Chocula. I saw somebody at the beach yesterday that looked suspiciously like a chocolate vampire. And I'm not talking about like Blackula. All right. I'm talking Count Chocula, actual chocolate. And so I'm not safe still. Now you're probably wondering, can vampires come out in the sun? How are they at the beach? Well, to be honest with you, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm assuming if they're made of chocolate, they don't have to worry about their skin being burnt because they don't have skin. I'm still not safe. Neither are you guys. One of our listeners put a picture of Count Chocula car that they saw at a store. It's following people, right? Now you guys are in their eyes guilty by association. So welcome to it. Stay safe. But with that being said, check us out on iTunes. We would appreciate it if you guys gave us a 5-star rate and a review. Even just a rate would help get a little more eyes on this, get some more people in on the truth, subject more people to the fanfics that I read, because I choose only the best for you guys. Spotify. New episode every Wednesday. You could follow us on there and get notified of those uploads. Instagram is at CEOTPK. Twitter is at CEOTPK1. We do have a YouTube channel currently. Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. Just search for us on YouTube. You'll find us. Guys, we're kind of far from the amount of subs that we need for me to finally just start going live. And, you know, like thinking about the potential. I could be in Hawaii right now, and if we had enough subs, I could have gone live at the beach, and, you know, you could have seen my shenanigans here and there. But unfortunately, I can't do that yet. I guess we could do that on Instagram. I don't know. But nobody follows us on Instagram either. So follow us, people. If you want to see us do live stuff and interact, we want to interact with you guys more on like a visual level, so you can finally see what we look like. That'd be cool. But YouTube isn't going to be there much longer, I assume. 2 strikes already. Facebook, Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind as well. And as Tasker always reminds you people, and by you people, I mean listeners, not your, you know, respective ethnicities. If you want a link to any of this stuff that I'm talking about here, including our Discord, it's all on a pinned post on Facebook. Much easier to click than, you know, rewinding and listening to this part and listening to me drone on and on and on and on. Email us at ceotpk1@gmail.com. You can send us your hate mail, your love mail. You could send us your deepest, darkest secrets. You could send us, but most preferably, it'd be cool if you would send us topics that you'd like to hear about covered on the show. We're always looking for topic suggestions from our listeners, because you guys are the ones we're doing this for, and we want to appease you. Discord. Join us at discord.gg/ lowercase b 6 capital C capital T 5 capital M capital X. Having some fun over there, mostly posting memes. That seems to be the most active channel, which is, you know, no surprise. But, you know, we're having fun over there. Come join the fun. Talk with us. Coffee. If you feel the need to donate to us, go to ko-fi.com/CEOTPK. Only if you feel the need to. Things are tough right now, so if you're not feeling it, don't do it. Like I say every episode, the gift is you guys listening, okay? We appreciate the listens, we appreciate the support, and, you know, the people who reach out to us, letting us know we're doing a decent job and we're not wasting our time is much appreciated. We like hearing from you. We love having you listen. And we can't do our usual outro because Tasker's not here. Nobody's here to tell me that the truth is not here. So I'm just going to say I'm going to go snorkeling now. And I refuse to stay 660 feet away from any sea life. You can't stop me, England. You can't. You can cut that. Sorry.